name of the documentary is The Right to Rock, like it's implying that actually Fanny fought for that right. Maybe in that time wasn't that right, was something to be earned. And the easy question, or I mean the easy thinking in that time, well, Fanny was a feminist band. It's the easy thing.
No, and it was
I would like to know what you think. Yeah, please.
No, because we didn't know about feminism, but we were doing it. Regardless. I mean, I think any human being in the world wants to express their potential. And that's what we were doing as musicians and as young women. We were only 18, 19, 20 when we wanted to start. So it was something that we had to do and we had to work very hard at, to say that we were feminists, we really couldn't because we hadn't really examined that. No one had of any knowledge had sat down with us and said, hey, this is what feminism is. What do you think where do you think you are in the spectrum? Nobody. So we didn't know until I left rock and roll, and I started playing with Chris Williamson in women's music. And I had a lot of those conversations, of course, because there I was playing in feminist gatherings, huge concerts. So that's when I became feminized. But Fanny did not know about feminism per se. We would say, yeah, we think we're feminists because we're doing what we want. And that's enough, quite frankly, enough for the times. That was all we could do. There were no women's centers. There was no women's studies. You couldn't go to get that.
You were it.
Time. Yeah,
you were the women's studies. You were, as you've said before, step into the frame of a picture you hadn't seen yourself really. As a role model.
Yeah. So I left Fanny in 73 and I didn't start playing in feminist music till 75. In those 2 years, that was the time I used, or Buddhism used me to enter into a different realm and be ready, start to become ready for all that was to come post that. And that's a really important point because I wasn't actually very strong. I listened to the music and it's really strong, but as a person, as a human, I didn't really have my center together. And Buddhism, those 2 years in which I was able to get into Buddhism and get the teachings and start to become strong internally were such important years. So by 75, when I played on Chris Williamson's Changer and the Change, I went on the first tour with her in 76. I cannot tell you what a big deal that was to me, what happened. I mean, it was every bit as rock and roll. Feminist music was every bit as rock and roll. The audience reaction, what people were learning was really huge. And I'm the only one who's experienced both of those, women in rock and feminist music, the only woman. So I'm happy to talk about it because it was quite riveting. It certainly got my attention.
Well, and June being in those two worlds, I mean, as part of Fanny, as you say, the title, The Right to Rock, it's a title specifically chosen as young women today in music everywhere, they're standing on the shoulders of Fanny, who helped women they fought. The right to rock was not given, just like the right to vote was not, here you go. It was fought for. Women died. Women lost their children. Women lost their lives to fight for that right to rock.
Their jobs.
Centuries. Jobs. And in music, Fanny, metaphorically, obviously, to me, and I think to a lot of people around the world, they represent that, those shoulders that we're all standing on in different ways. I may not be a woman, in a rock and roll band, but I'm standing on Fanny's shoulders in the sense that those liberties that they fought for a woman to have, just like you see the poster behind me, that woman is not a demure Statue of Liberty. She's like, wow, she's like, she's found her voice and she's using her voice and she's sharing her voice. And to me, that's such a powerful metaphor of what Fanny has done and is still doing. And also what Chris Williamson and the whole women's music movement of you finding and using your voice as a woman. And also and in standing up for women, queer women as well. And that we're here, we're beautiful, we're part of society as much as anyone. And we have a right to be here and a right to express our full identities,
it's hard for people to realize what a paradigm shift occurred between 1975 and 1976. It turned the world upside down for hundreds of thousands of people, whether or not, some people were outside the periphery. But for those of those who got caught up by the new music, by the new, let's say, philosophy, I mean, it was feminist philosophy with spiritual type of songs, that fused. It was really, really incredible. I'm writing my second book right now that is about that experience, the paradigm shift, and how I got swept up into it, and I did pretty much just that until 1981, 82. And then I got together with my partner, Ann, and we started IMA, and we started to officially put it together. I mean, I'm sitting in the recording studio right now at IMA,
Wow.
We couldn't have dreamt of having this in 1964. Never. I mean, you couldn't even get into a studio, So the movie is the right to rock, but you can also say the right to record, the right to walk down the street, the right to write your own songs. It just goes on and on. We were fighting for the right to exist in a way that was fulfilling to us, and that's so important. And it was really tough to make that declaration in yourself. It was totally frightening. I listened to, like I said, I was listening to Fanny today, and I was thinking, gosh, we were just so afraid of so many unknowns, but we just kept going. I don't know if you've gotten my book. You should, because it really explains in great detail what it felt like on the inside to do these creations, but try to somehow not just soften the blow, but protect ourselves against all the slings and arrows that were being thrown at us way more than they are now. And even now, when I read them, I'm like, what are you talking about? You're a lot. You don't know what you're talking about. Where's that white line in the middle of the road? That's what I'm looking for. I stay on that white line, because it's really easy to get thrown off. That's what I concentrate on. What is that white line? And that's what I'm concentrating on, staying. Whatever the subject is, whatever the music is, whatever the new hero is, whoever the new hero is, it's really important, and it changes all the time. But your center, you have to be centered somewhere. And that's, I figure, it has been my job since I left Fanny in 73. I wanted to find out what it was I should pay attention to. And I've just been doing that all these years.